Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili Nishmasimi Mirosi Ruspas Mordechai. Good evening, Rebelli. My two favorite things. Obviously, MDY before football. MDY in the Manchester City Football Club. Zevi Galties, Manchester. What? Well, he says, I'm reading what he says. He means, you guys don't know. I've never seen such enthusiasm, such geschmack, such debate over football, soccer, halavai, and Gemara also. Dear Belly, thank you for your shiur. It quickly became a staple of my morning and afternoon. I'm still waiting for it to change my life. I'm a bit stubborn, I guess. I just noticed this yesterday. I have this little tray for my morning coffee where I learned that my wife bought me years ago. The subject is something merge, counterfeit merge. Here, have a wonderful day. Played, he says. I think lawsuit, can't wait for another shiur. Mati, anonymous. Oh, P.S. We are Hasidish, and we were your guest before Yossi Klein. Rabbi Mati Kos. But he didn't have the shtreimel, he didn't have the wife, he didn't have the children, he had one kid. Ain't a dime. This is a whole mishpucha with the shtreimel, with the zachin. Okay. Rebelli, I was lucky enough to finally attend the shiur live today. As I told you myself today, I was thinking, what is the one word that explains it all? One word. Magical. You're the greatest in the world. Okay, I'm trying to pretend. True love learning. Young and not being satisfied with just 10,000 plus attendees. You want more and more. And Mrs Hashem, you should get to 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 very quickly. Eli Garfinkel from Lakewood. What happened? Doesn't do a thing. Dear Belly, this is from your brother, Leiby. I really enjoyed joining you in shiur last Thursday. Like Bo'emer, the Geschmack shiur with singing, upshare, really made it very memorable. And I look forward to joining you again sometime. Shimi Leifman, not Leifman. Leifman, not Leifman, pointed out that the number of 200 is a minimum in Kanai. He's talking about how many people managed to watch the shiur. A lot more participants. We look forward to welcoming you later on Thursday while visiting Kivri Avos. I davened at the cave of Rav Meir Shapiro, who's near the Kfar. My grandparents had in mind rebellion, the members of MDY worldwide. Surely Rav Meir Shapiro, zechus will be a melech for all of us as we continue his legacy. Wishing you continue hatzlacha. Archaim David. Yeah. Rabbi David is here. We already called him up. You probably weren't here. Today is the 37th day in the Omer. The koilel is sponsored by the anonymous for Shidduchim. First, parnasah L'Ilui Nishmas Harav Zechariah Shimon HaKohen wואלערשטיין, zechus bracha by his kids. Second, parnasah Ahron Fraiman Lzchus, continue parnasah, siyadta, dishmaya, and hatzlacha to rebellion. Third, parnasah the boy family, Eli Nishmas Rebelio, zechroin levracha ben Reb Avram Neir Eli Weinberg A. Fourth, parnasah the Wolkenstein family, in Kemach, in Torah, and in Torah, in Kemach. By the Lock and Lebovic families, Lakewood NJ, because Torah is the best segulah. Sixth, parnasah Lili Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. The seventh one, as HaKaras HaTov to Hashem, and as Lzchus for continued health and bracha. Today's shiur. I gotta read it from over here. Let's do this one first. By Pesach Kahana, Lila Nishmas, my mother-in-law, Mrs Ruth Wolf on her 4th yard site. And let me just grab this one over here. By Shaul Jaspan, Lila Nishmas, Beni Yosef, Zechariah Levracha, Ben Yibad L'chaim Tovim, Shaul Avram. What's this Rosh Hashanah? Hanum. Anybody? Bracha Esther. Hanoisei Maso Bracha Esther. I don't know what Hanum means. Hey Nun Vav Mem. I've seen it in certain signs. Hey Nun Vav apostrophe Mem. Okay? HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands, and there's a lot of people out there that understand. They're going to send me emails. Rabbi Isai, today's daf Ein Zayin. And we are holding a bunch of lines down, 7 lines down, 8 lines down. So yesterday we had Doeg who's fighting that David should be apostle. Somebody's head is in the screen, I see, right over here. Is that you, Mandy? Oh. Okay. What? I should move this way? Shkoyach. Okay. Doeg was fighting that David should be apostle. He held that he descends from Rus, and Rus is Amoinis, and she's Aser. They were fighting about it. Comes Yisra, and he says, that's how I got. I was Mekabel, there's a Kabbalah. How do you want me to call him? Amasa. Okay, so Yisra argued that he is 100% kosher, says the Gemara Mimahemen. Why should Yisra be believed? If he just makes up a halacha, we cannot believe Yisra. Why? Because they just asked the question and he's paskening. So what? So Taisus says, look in Taisvis. Nachman, you read the Taisus, please. The Hainu Dav, the top Taisvis. The Hainu Dav, read with me. The Hainu Dav, Heicha Duhu Atzmi Negeh B'Dover Kegoin Yisra Shayel. Okay, let's see on the side. Maybe you're right. Marsha and Shom. No, it doesn't take it out. Okay. He says okay, fine. Says Taisus Mardik. When a person is Negeh B'Dover, when a Rav is biased, like over here, Yisra, because he married David HaMelech's sister, and all his children are from this woman, and if this woman, who's a descendant of Amoinis, is no good, then all his own children are no good. So mainly he comes up with I heard halacha. It says Rashi, we have to be choshesh, maybe he's lying. But it's only when it's Negeh B'Dover, so it's Lifnei Maisa, meaning not the Maisa right now. The Maisa that happened to Yisra 30 years ago when he got married. He has 30 years that he's not allowed to paskin. It has to be before the Maisa of his marriage. That's the Maisa over here. Not today's story, the fight between Doeg and Yisra. Okay. Amasa, whatever it is. The Doeg understands.
Amasa's father was Yisra.
Yeah.
Amasa was the person who said it.
Oh, okay.
His father is Yisra.
Okay, good. Okay? You're right.
You're saying the wrong pshat.
I say a lot of wrong pshatim, but I don't like starting off the shit with the wrong pshat.
Listen.
By the way, yesterday, talking about wrong pshat, yesterday I asked the kash on the Mitzri and what? Amasa is Yisra?
Says that Amasa's father was Yisra. Amasa ben Ish, Shema Yisra.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Let's just tell you something else. Gishmak. Okay, I'll upon him. But we all get the pshat. It doesn't matter. Blank. Put it in there.
You have to say David Shem Amrei.
Doilim got it. They hear you just loud and clear. Oh, did I miss you? Wow. It was a month and a half. I finally come back to Israel. I thought I'm going to have you. No. You have to shtach me for another week, another 2 weeks. Fine. Anyway, Zok the Gemara. But listen to this. Yesterday I asked the kash on the Mitzri. I said, why does the Torah say Mitzri? After Shir, what's your name again? I keep on forgetting your name. What's your name? Yehuda Stegi. And another bacher who I never saw before. 2 bacher, but he came over to me first, and he's right. If all the Mitzrim were wiped out, I asked, then there's no Mitzrim, so why does the Torah say you can't marry Mitzri? He says the Erev Rav. They weren't wiped out. They became Gerim. They went into Klal Yisrael. He's right. Rashi started. What? According to the Vilna Gaon and the Gemara, every Mitzri was wiped out. That was my question. Okay, fine. It's a bad question. I know it's a dumb question. Shani Hacha. Says the Gemara, Shani Hacha. So how was call Mamasa Yisra? What do you want? Shani Hacha da Shmuel Beis Dinoi Kayam. Because you could go. Where were they? They were here in Bet Shemesh, next to Bet Shemesh by Emek Ya'ala, Allah, whatever it's called. The David was fighting Goliath. Where is it? Emek Ya'ala. It's how many minutes away is it from here? Okay, fine. So they were right over there, and Shmuel was, I don't know where he was, in Binyamin or something. So Shani Hacha, the Shmuel Beis Din Kayam, he's still around, and if he's lying, he's gonna be a fool. They're gonna find out that Shmuel didn't say it. But they needed to know right now what the halacha is. At the end of the day, Dayeg had a good kasha. That what? Shouldn't the women be punished as well? They should never be able to be a giyaris because they didn't go out and greet Klal Yisrael with bread and water. Says the Gemara, a Jewish woman, her place is inside the house, inside the tent. They didn't go out. So the women, when Ammon saw Klal Yisrael coming, they saw a bunch of men. The women were back in the tents. So they had no reason to go out with bread and water. You want them to go, you didn't want them to feed the men, right? You want them to feed the women. Well, there were no women, they were all in tents.
Not a terrorist, because they did go out a lot of times. The woman of Moav went out.
Yes, exactly, I know. But how come they went out to be Machdi Klal Yisrael, but they didn't go out? The taina of Asher that's not why you don't become a ger. The reason why you don't become a ger is because they didn't bring bread and water. The Torah says.
That's the raya.
Yeah, listen, Nachamo. It's also a good raya that there were no women there, right? Is that what you're saying? If the wives were there with the husbands, how would the Ammonites have a chance? But there was only men over there. But Akopanim, the Torah says that the reason why they're punished is because they didn't come out with bread and water. We explained it a few times. It's a midah keneged midah. They should have had HaKaras HaTov, to Avram Avinu, saving light, the whole thing. So why didn't you come out with bread and water? The fact that you're machti, that's another aveira. You don't get for that a punishment that you can never become a ger. You don't bring bread and water. You let them die in starvation. That you don't become a ger. Okay. And they said another pshat very similar. They asked Avram, "Where's your wife?" And he said, she's in the tent. So you see that Sarah was supposed to be in the tent. What do you mean? Of course, she's in the tent. Where else should she be? So we have machlokes tanoim here. How to learn what we said. The famous one, the Isser to become a ger only applies to the men, not to the women. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. By the way, a Moyerdika Maisa, I heard it from a few sources, but this one I saw by Rabbi Yangel Galinsky. He takes credit for the story and he has all the names of the story. So if you heard it from a different source and hundreds of years before, maybe it happened twice, the story. But upon him, he says like this, there's a guy in Russia, and he says the name of the city, I forgot already, who was a big Talmud Chacham, and he goes into all detail. He wasn't worried about the Russians drafting him because he didn't have legs. But he's a Talmud Chacham, so they gave him this the honor to say a parsha shir on Shabbos. Every week he'd give a parsha shir. And one day the Rav sees him and he tells the Rav, "I'm going bye-bye." So, what, you're going to die? Yeah, I'm dying. He says, "What's pshat?" He said that this week he said a drasha about the daughters of light, and he said that they didn't have tznius. How do you call your own son Ammon and Moav? From my father, Me'avi. What kind of lashon is that? How do you Bishlam? You did what you did, okay. But to go and announce it to the world, that's already a lack of tznius. He says that night he dreamt 2 women came to him in a dream and said, "How dare you say that we were prust? What we did was L'Shem Shamayim. We named our sons Ammon and Moav so that they don't become Avodah Zarah. Nobody should say, because there's nobody in the world, so you can say that they were impregnated by, like another religion says. So therefore we announce it. No, we know who impregnated our own father. It was L'Shem Shamayim. And because of that, you're going to die." The Kachava, his tongue swelled up and he died. You'll see a tremendous. Anybody ever heard the story before? Introduction. We have Bekim B'Kol HaTorah Kula, says Reb Noam Fix. Introduction. Tigris Moshe Chelik Ches brings this Maisa. It happened with Reb Moshe Feinstein.
Yeah, he was called to the deathbed of the guy, and the guy said it, and turned over.
He was called to the deathbed. Unbelievable. Okay, so we have another source. I told you. I knew that I heard it from different source. Okay, but you see, to be very careful how you speak, and you think, okay, they did a terrible thing, maybe. No, it's L'Shem Shamayim, and we have to be careful what we say. So we have one man that says, "Amoini v'lo yamoinis, Moavi v'lo Moavis." Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Reb Shimon Omer al davar shelo yikidmu eschem belechem u'b'mayim. We have another pshat. It's because the men, not because it says Amoini, and from that we darish of Amoinis, because that we had a Shaila, Mitzris, but because it's the men, Ashaloi Kidmu Eschem, Belechem Amayim, Darku Shalish Lekadim, okay, and not Isha. Dorash Rava, Maidich Siv, Pitachta L'Meiseroi. Here we have a picture. Here's a yoke, and you have straps that tie the yoke, the wood, to the animal. So David HaMelech says, Pitachta L'Meiseroi. Why are you quiet now? Now I need you to hear your beautiful voice. Omar David l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom, Shnei Meiseroi Shahayu Alai Pitachtam. I had 2 straps around my neck. You undid them. Rus HaMayiviyah v'namo ha'amoynes. Nama, we just learned in Daf Samach Gimel. We learned that Nama was Shlomo HaMelech's wife, and from her, all Rashi brings over there. She was the mother of Rechavam, and from that came out Yeshafat, Chizkiyo, Ishayo, Asa. So the Hemshech of Klai Yisrael came out from an Amoynes, Rus HaMayiviyah, David and Shlomo, and Nama Amoynes. So says David HaMelech, I thank you for untying the two straps. Dorish Rava, Maidich Siv, Rabbi Osisa, Ata Hashem Elokai. You did much. Niflo Yisecha, Umachshav Yisecha, your thoughts, Eilenu, for us. What's Eilenu? David HaMelech should be thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for me. What's for us? The plural. Eli Eilenu Milam Shoyim Rechavam. Who's Rechavam? His grandson. Shlomo HaMelech's son, which is David HaMelech's grandson. So you take your grandson, you put him on your lap, you do horsey, you know, bouncy. That's what it means. Rabbi Sasisa for Elenu, Bishvilenu. Darish Rava. And if it was because, again, Rechavam comes from another source. He comes from an Amoynes. David HaMelech came from a Meviyah. So he had to say Elenu. If it was his descendant, so it's Eli. Look, Hashem saved me and all my descendants. But he had another problem. The grandson had another issue. It says, talks about me in Megillah Sefer. I thought Hashem just thought about me today. He decided I'm going to be king now. And I didn't understand. I'm already in the Torah. I'm brought down in the Torah. Here it says in the pasuk, the malachim tell light, grab who you have, so David HaMelech learned from the word I came from that pasuk over there because Lot saved his 2 daughters, and I'm a descendant of those daughters. Oh, okay, so fine. So we had a little agata. Now we're going to go back into some very interesting drushes. We're going to do the same thing over and over. We're going to go in circles. Literally, we're going to go in circles. And once you know this, the concept once, it's repetitive. It's the same idea. Says the Gemara, Omar Ula, Omar Rabbi Yochanan. It says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Baz ger amoini ksheira lekuhuna. So we have to remember this line. Rabbi Yochanan says that the daughter of a ger amoini is not allowed to become a ger. We don't accept him forever, but he becomes a ger. And he has a daughter. Unbelievable chiddush. That daughter could marry a kohen. What's pshat? Omalei Rava bar Ula le'ula, the one who said this over in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kima. What's going on here? Ikir Rabbi Yehuda. This is a Rabbi Yehuda we already had in the Masechta. Amar bas ger zachar ki bas chol zachar. Forget about the Amayni, Maya. Any ger, any daughter of a ger is pasal kahuna, he says. It's like a chalal, like a kohen that got married to a grusha. The kid is a chalal, cannot marry, no more kahuna. The daughter can't marry kohen. So the daughter of a ger is no different than a chalal, asat l'kuna. Why are you telling me that this daughter of an amayni ger is kosher l'kuna? So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it doesn't work. Now on the flip side, Vikri Rabbi Yosi, pshita. There's not even a chiddush. So that's an interesting thing. The Gemara is going to try to understand what the chiddush is. It's so pashut that the daughter of an Amoini can marry a Kayan. I don't understand why Rabbi Yochanan even had to say it. What are you coming to tell me here? So what are you going to say? What's the obvious answer to, what's the chiddush? Rav Yosef holds that a ger and a giyaris, the parents are both gerim. There's no kahal involved at all. It's two gerim. Their kid is mutter l'kuhuna. So certainly, if you have an amoini who marries, the Gemara understands now that we have an amoini and an amoinis. They both get married. So amoini and amoini, what's the big deal? What's the difference? Tell me what's the difference between two Germans that got married, they converted, and they had a child, mutter l'kuhuna, and amoini and amoinis. No, what are you saying? So what? Well, who told you though? Who says that makes a difference? Who says that makes a difference? Okay, but who says it's different? So that's what the Gemara says right away. And if you're going to tell me, it's very different. You have two Gerim, two Germans, they converted. The mutter love b'kahal, they're allowed to get married. But this Amoini guy, he had no business getting married, and therefore comes Rabbi Yochanan and tells you a major chiddush that his daughter is mutter. So Gemara doesn't like that. Minale. There's a story about Rabbi Kotler. He's once at a chasana, and the chassan gets up and starts giving a whole pilpul. And you could say like this, and maybe you could say like that. Finally, he got really aggravated, and he screamed out. He says, "Bring the raya." I never understood the story 100%, but it's his maisa. In other words, you're making these people pull him. Do you have any source? Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds good that they're usher. Okay, but is that a good enough reason to say that she cannot get married l'kuhuna? Why? What does it make her? Makes her zayna? What does it make her? Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's different. Very good. Bring the raya. Minale. So much so that's not even a chiddush. Don't even say it.
Trust but verify.
Huh?
Trust but verify.
Trust but verify. Okay. Beseder. What, you say other things besides machlekes?
That one's not a machlekes.
Okay, but you can't just say svaras. Your own svaras. Minole. So I'll tell you where we know it from. The Yolif Mekain Gadol Ba'almana. You have a Kohen Gadol who marries an Almana. And their offspring, their child, even though he's the Gadol Adar, he's the Kohen Gadol, is Pasal L'Kuhuna. So the Kohen Gadol had no right to marry an Almana. He has no right to. I hear where you're thinking over here. So let's see. The Gemara is going to go through all the steps. But he does have a right. Says the Gemara, Kohen Gadol Ba'almana, she can be Aseh Ba'aveira. So I just want to show you here just for a second. It's not a big deal. This is what I did for this sugya. To show you how we're going in circles. We're going to go in circles here. We're trying to say that the daughter of an Amoini is Kashal L'Kuhuna. But in blue, the question is, but he's not Roy Levad B'Kal. So we're proving it from Kohen Gadol. But here it goes. Then we start saying, well, wait a minute. Kohen Gadol, his bia is puzzle. It's an Aveira to have. But the Amoini and Amoinis, they have no Aveira. They're allowed to be married to each other. But there's a Chalal in green. He doesn't have a bia psula. He's allowed to marry a Yisraelis, right? The son or the daughter of a Kohen who married a Grusha, they're allowed to marry anybody in Israel. They just can't marry Guna. Yet their kid, the kid of a Chalal, is Asa L'Kuna. But Chalal Yitzi Rasei Ba'aveira. You see, we're going in a circle now. We're now on the light blue. The Chalal, he was created. He himself was created. No good. So that's why his descendant is no good. Well, Kohen Gadol ain't Sirasei Ba'aveira. Kohen Gadol didn't. He was born, he's perfect. Not only is he perfect, he's the Gadol Adar. He's the Kohen Gadol in the Beis HaMikdash. I don't know if he's the Gadol Adar. Maybe he's not such a great guy. He's one of the Kohanim Gedolim that paid money to get in there. But he's a Kohen Gadol nevertheless. There's no psul in him. But he did something that's awesome. Now we go to Biyasi Psula. Now we're back to where we started. Kohen Gadol Biyasi Psula. But a chol of this. So it goes like this here. Check out this chart for 1 second. We're going in circles. Oh.
Do it again.
Trust me, we have this 4 times in the sugya. You're going to see it again. Okay, I'll show it again. Yeah, well, look at the top left. The top left one. The whole thing goes down. Givaldic. Okay. So now, once you know the sugya, you know all the sugyas. We're going around in a circle. We have one thing that's a chumrah, but it's not a right because we have the next thing that's a chumrah. We're going in a circle. So what do we do when we have one of these? Every time in Shas, we do it tzad shava. There's a common denominator. All 4 things have one thing in common. And if we have one thing in common, maybe we can learn from that one thing in common to bas amoyni that she share likuna. Says the Gemara inside. Malik kohen gadol about manish can be also about veira. You don't prove anything from a kohen gadol who marries an almana that his child is pasal likuna because he did an aveira by being with this woman. Chalal didn't do an aveira by being with a Yisraelis, yet their child cannot go likuna. Malachalal. Now we're going to the next circle. But Malachalal, Shekei Yitzirasi Ba'avera. He himself was created in a not good union. Kohen Gadol Yechiach. And now we're back to square one. Kohen Gadol was created kosherly, yet his descendants not. V'chazar Adin. And now we go in a circle. Loiri Zekri Zeh. Each one has something special about it. Loiri Zekri Zeh. Hatzad Shavish Shabem Sheni Beroiv Kahal. But what's the common denominator with all these guys, the Chol, Kohen Gadol? They have a begam. Something's wrong over here. And Bita Psula. And the daughter is Pasal. Afkan, I would think, a Havamina, that an Amoini also has a begam, so his daughter should be Pasal. Comes Rabbi Yochanan and says, don't worry about it. She's not Pasal. That's why I need Rabbi Yochanan. Says the Gemara, that's not a good common denominator. There's something wrong here. The Kohen Gadol shouldn't be marrying a grusha. The chol came from an avera. But amoinin and amoinis, they have 0 avera. They did a mitzvah. They got married. What's wrong with that? Says the Gemara, Dilma. So, this is all predicated on the assumption that an Amoini and Amoinis got married and they had a daughter, and that daughter wants to marry a Kohen. Says, that's not what happened here. Rabbi Yochanan is talking about a different case. Rabbi Yochanan is talking about an Amoini who didn't marry an Amoinis, he married a kosher Bas Yisrael. And that kid is kosher l'kuhuna. Says Gemara, Dilma Vali b'Amoini shenasa Bas Yisrael kahamer. So talking about a different case completely. The Amoini married a Yisraelis. I've got to be also about Aveira. Even though you're not allowed to marry an Amoini, it says in the Torah forever. Bita Ksheira, the daughter's Kashal Kuna. That's exactly what I'm talking about, says Zula. The Chiyasa Rabban Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan himself said, Bas Ger Amoini, who got married to Israelis, Ubas Misri Sheni, who got married to Israelis, Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ksheira. The kid is kosher. Rabbi Shlakish Amar Psula. Rabbi Shlakish Amar Psula. Why? The Yolef Lam Kohen Gadol Ba'amana. He learns it from a Kohen Gadol who marries an almana that their kid is pasul. So too, when you marry a ger, an Amoini marries a Yisraelis, she's perfect. He's terrible. The kid is pasul kuhuna. I'll tell you why she's kosher. Why? The Tani Reb Zakkai Kamed Rabbi Yochanan. Because of what Reb Zakkai said, a brisa. So we just turned out Ayin Zayin Amud Beis, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of the Gold Star Multi Donut, and sponsored anonymously in honor of Eli for the countless blah 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 blah. The Torah Reb Zakkai Kamed Rabbi Yochanan Ki im besulo mi'amov yikach isha. Mati, every time I get the gaiva thing goes up, I think about this myself. I'm going to say it again. I was in New York, flew into New York, show up to the Sephardi shul there, and 800 people were there. If there was a gaiva in my life, it felt good. I don't know what it was. Just not a gaiva. It was out of this world experience. And then the following day, I was in Chicago. Went from 800 people to 7 people. So literally, 7 people showed up this year. So whatever gaiva had this, it doesn't matter. It comes and goes the way as fast as it comes and goes. Tony Rabbi Zakkai, come here, Rabbi. Ki im psula mi'am avikach isha lahavi giyores mikano. Giyaris Mekana, the literal translation, kana, means the base. But a Giyaris who comes from two Gerim, from the same mishpacha, the two Amoini and Mayavis, get married and they have a kid. So Ki'im Bisula Meyamav, the extra mem, Yikachisha Lavi Giyaris Mekana, says the Tanakam Shiksher Likuhuna. If both parents are from one nation and she was born Bigdusha, they were misgayer, they're done, the mamish Jews. What? But the father's Amoini, let's say, whatever. Amoini Umayavis, get married, and she should be mamish a Jew. The kid is kasher l'kuhuna. V'amarlei ani shoyna amav meyamav lahavi besula haba mishnei amamim vat amres giyaris mikana v'sulai. So Rabbi Yochanan says, pay attention because we're going to say slightly different, very slightly different. Rabbi Yochanan argues, and he says that if only one of the parents is a giyaris or a ger, so in other words, a ger married a Yisraelis, the kid is kasher l'kuhuna. That's our case. The Tanakama says, no, it's when both parents, they didn't do an Aveira, and Amoini marries an Amoinis, so then the kid is kasher l'kuhuna. Says Rabbi Yochanan, no, even when there was an Aveira, even when the Amoini who wasn't supposed to marry Israelis got married to Israelis, the kid is kasher l'kuhuna. Next. Besulai, and that's the end of his argument. And he says and explains, if it's two from the same nation, and why do you think that it's called two nations? Zechus Masurim in the case of Torah, within their nation they seem like two different nations because one part of the nation, the males can marry into Judaism, the males can, but the females could. Hainu Giyaris Mekana. That's exactly what Giyaris Mekana means. And what? So Rabbi Yochanan is going to agree with Rabbi Zakkai, with the Tanakama. Ela ba'amayni shenasa bas Yisrael. So obviously he's talking about a different case. Shtei amim means a Jew and an Amayni, a Jewess and an Amayni. Fine. So that's where he learns it from. Amav mi amav. The extra mem. Vikid Amri. Here, 10,000 points for whoever sees the difference in this Ikid Amri. It seems almost the same thing. Omar le ani shoyna amav mi amav. Also, there's extra mem here. Lahavi b'sulo haba mishnei amamim. So the difference is, over here he's saying, listen to this. This is a psula that comes from two nations, that one of the nations is two nations. Slightly different. In other words, before Rabbi Yochanan was saying, the Tanakama was saying that if it comes from two nations, it says Rabbi Yochanan, one nation, it says Rabbi Yochanan, two nations, meaning any two Giyaris, Germans, Polish, Amayni Mayavi. Over here, Rabbi Yochanan is saying, no, it's the pasuk is talking about an Amayni, only an Amayni. How do I know? Because it's a woman that's from two nations, that one of the two nations is two nations. What does that mean? Because one of the two nations is an Amayni, who we split the males and the females. So it's two nations which are two nations. See inside. Look at this. It says, she comes from two nations, and one of those two nations, they're considered two nations. In other words, the pasuk is only telling you one thing. The Amayni who marries a Bas Yisrael, the daughter is kosher. How would I know, let's say a Mitzri that marries a Bas Yisrael, the daughter is kosher for kuna? I don't know. I have one pasuk, and only one pasuk that talks about an Amayni. If it's the first lashon, it's all gerim that marry Israelis, the daughter is kosher. But if I'm going to say the pasuk is only talking about an Amayni, then I'm stuck. I only have, and that's the Gemara's question here. And according to the second lashon, what? Again, minole. You're going to. Okay, that's what the Gemara is going to go into exactly. And each one has. And now we're going to go into the same chazar din, starting over the your kolchken. Says the Gemara, how do I know that a second generation Mitzri, who married a second generation Mitzri, he's almost there, he couldn't wait, and he marries a Jewish woman, the Ksher Lakuna, that daughter is kosher Lakuna Minole. I'll learn from an Amayni, Kolchkin, not Kolchkin here. You see that in Amoini it works. But I'll tell you, Amoinis, the whole nation is different. They have a tzad kula that all the women are mutter to get married right away, the first generation. Says Gemara, but mitzvah sheni shenasa mitzvah shniya yechiach. Even though the nekevos in the second generation, they themselves are aser, but the kid is still mutter b'kal. Here, so we have a chart if you want to see. We're trying to learn a bas mitzvah sheni. The second generation daughter, how is she kosher kuna? We're going to learn from Amoini in blue. But Amoini is different because the nekevos are mutter. Well, mitzvah sheni, the nekevos are aser, and still the next generation is mutter. Well, mitzvah sheni in light blue, the bia is not an avera. The latter married two mitzvahim. Amud Yisrael biyasi ba'avera proves that even so, fine, and it goes in a circle. Here, and you want to see it? There you go. So, what's the Tzad HaShava? So you have to stick in. The Tzad HaShava is that they're not beroiv kahal. Translation: there's a begam. There's some sort of begam here. Yet, even though there's a begam, the daughter is kosher. So too, the mitzvah sheni. Even though there's a begam, the daughter should be kosher. Now I understand. I heard Rav Yehuda say, the Omar, Amav, Me'amav. I heard him talk about, I was once in a shir, like you guys here today. Amav, Me'amav, I have no idea what's flying, but Amav, finally I chap what's going on. Took him a few years, he chapped. What he meant to say, that a daughter of an Amoini that got married to Israelis, is what? Kosher l'kuhuna. An Amoini, that's what he meant. I heard Amav, the extra mem, something. Now I chap. Okay. Ki also Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda Omar. This is what Reb Zakkai said to Rabbi Yochanan. Isha Amoinis Kshera. This is a riddle. The Gemara does this all the time. I'm going to throw out a line here, and you have to figure out what's going on. First of all, step one, Isha Amoinis Kshera. What in the world? Who's the Isha Amoinis? She's kosher. So that's pretty simple, right? We could understand the riddle. We could, how do you say mefanech the riddle? Solve the riddle. Isha Amoinis would mean she's a giyaris. Amoinis could become a giyaris. Kshera, that's simple. Binoma Amoini Apostle. Her own son from an Amoini Apostle. Now this one is interesting. Ubita Ma'amoini, but if she has a daughter from an Amoini, Kshera. What's going on here? And he explains. I'm talking about an Amoinis who became Gerim. Avobita Ma'amoini Psula. Rabbi Yochanan here's the riddle. And you know what he says? Get out of here. Amalei Puk Tani Libra. Take your thing, say it outside. You don't belong in there. Says the Gemara, my damris. I'll explain. He understood right away Rabbi Yochanan was talking about. My damris Isha Amoinis Kshera. Amoini v'lei Amoinis. You're allowed to marry an Amoinis. Binam Amoini Apostle, what did he mean? The Amoini who? He's a male Amoini. He can never be kosher. Ubitam Amoini Kshera. Lemai, what does that mean? That the daughter is kosher. Eli Melavai B'Kahal. Well, a daughter of a woman who's already a giyaris. Again, what happened? A woman from Amoin can get married to Yisrael. And her daughter, it's a kolshkin bas benosh kavachayim, right? She was born b'kedusha, so of course she could be, okay, ela lakuna. Oh, we're talking about kuna. So let's explain what he was saying. Here's the riddle. You want her to be kosher lakuna. I'll tell you that the only time that a daughter of an Amoini is kosher is if the Amoini married an Amoinis. Two gerim. But the case that we're discussing, an Amoini with a Yisraelis, no good. Now you understand why Rabbi Yochanan threw him out of the base measures? Rabbi Yochanan is the one that holds that is good. He argues on Rish Lakish. Get out of here. Might be the Ma'amoini. Ilay Ma'amoini Shanas Amoinis. Hainu Giyaris Mikana. That we already said in the beginning that Kana, when you have a ger and a giyaris that get married, their kid is okay. Ela kosher. Ela Amoini shenos bas Yisrael. So you're talking about the case that we're discussing the whole day today. The Amoini guy married a Yisraelis illegally, and you're telling me what? She's puzzle. I'm like, puk tani lebra. Get out of here. Say it outside. Let's go back to the Mishnah for a second, and Daf Amud Beis, and it says like this: Mitzri adoimi eniyam asurim ela shleisha dairais. A Mitzri is only also for 3 generations. Echad zchar v'echad nekeva says the Tanakama 3 generations for Mitzri, man, woman. Comes Reb Shimon and he says no, nekeva is a mutter the first generation, and have a kavachomer if the Amoin guy is also forever. The women are mutter immediately. So a Mitzri who's mutter after 3 generations, certainly the women should be mutter immediately. And they asked him, do you have a source for it? Do you have a Kabbalah or you have a Kavachomer? Because if it's a Kavachomer, we have a slug up. And he says, you have nothing to slug me up. So what's the back and forth? My tshuva, what was the slug up? What was the pircha to the Kavachomer? My tshuva, Rabbi Chanan Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum de Ikkel lemeimar arayis yichichu. Arayis shloyosa behem elad shleisha doros. A daughter and your granddaughter, you're not allowed to marry a granddaughter. But guess what? You're allowed to marry your great-granddaughter. Midaraisa. This is shniyos, but midaraisa, you're allowed to marry your great-granddaughter. Shloyosa behem elad shleisha doros. Echad zcharim v'echad nekevos. So here you have a case that something that's only also for 3 generations, 2 and 3rd is already mutter, but females are also asur. So Reb Shimon, you're wrong. What do you bring me a raya from Amoin that the women should be mutter? I have a case that women are asur, only 3 generations, like a Mitzri. Mal arais, and we're going in circles, Rabbi Isai. And guess what? I'm not going to do that thing again. Mal arais sheken kares. Here, look at the thing here. Oh, no, not u. Arais yichichu, but arais have kares. So a mamzer doesn't have kares, and kids are no good. Mamzer it's also the law of Ibakal. Arais yichichu, but arais are kares, and mamzer go in circles. Says the Gemara, mal arais sheken kares. Mamzer yichiach. He doesn't have kares, and what? And nekevis are asur. Don't tell me it's the kares that causes women to be asur. Mamzer doesn't have kares, and all women are asur. Says Gemara, Mamzer was created, don't get confused. Mamzer was created through kares, but himself, if you marry a Mamzer, you don't get kares. He has a very big chumrah. You know why all nekevis are asur? Because they can never marry into the kahal. Well, they couldn't marry anybody they want. Chazadin, or 3 generations later, Chazadin. Each one has its own chumrah. But the common denominator, shasurim, they are asur. Everybody's asur. So you, Reb Shimon, how do you say the nekevis are mutter? Avani avi mitzri u mitzris shiu asurim echad zchar v'echad nekevos. We hold that a mitzri should be asur, even a nekeva 3 generations. Says Gemara Malas Shavish Bem Shekain Yishmin Tzad Kares. There's a Tzad Kares in all of it. V'Rabbanon. So Rabbanon say, check this chart out. Oh, we have here. They stick in under Arayis and Kares. They'll stick in Chalal, and like this, you go back in the circle. Then what? A Chalal doesn't have Kares, but a Chalal, and we have to explain this. This is all in Rashi, not in the Gemara. That's why I made the chart here. Chalal was created through Navera, but Arayis could prove that even not being created in Navera, they still have Isser. But Arayis have Kares. Chalal doesn't have Kares. And then it goes around in a circle. My hope is that next time the Olam hears the Gemara of Malas HaShavashabem, they don't get all nervous. It's Pashat Zach, and just think about the circles, and it goes around, and everything's good. Malas HaShavashabem Shekain, Yeshbim Tzad Kares, Rabbanim Echol Dechavi Yasei, a Chalal is an Asei. Ukrev Elezim and Yaakov, he holds that a Chalal is this Asei, as we learned, Umay Loiki. So then, what did Reb Shimon answer them? Hachi Kamarlu. Lididi Loisri Leider Reb Elezim Yaakov, I don't hold the Chalal is Chavi Yasei. Lididchu, the Sri Luchul Reb Yaakov, Haloch Ani Yomer. It happens to be, okay, even if you want to say, like Reb Elezim Yaakov, you have a Shiloh from Chalal, I'm telling you, I got this with the tradition. I didn't make this up myself. Tanya, Amalei Reb Shimon, Haloch Ani Yomer, Va'oid Mikra Misayeni. Not only am I telling you tradition, I have a pasuk, Banim v'loi banois. The Mitzri is only usher for the men and not for the women. Have a wonderful day.